Biology. His research is on evolution of genotype-environment interactions, i.e. the nature-nurture problem. He received his doctorate in genetics at the University of Ferrara in Italy and his PhD in botany from the University of Connecticut. He's currently working on a PhD in philosophy at the University of Tennessee. He's published 47 technical papers and 2 books on evolutionary biology. Dr. Pavlucci has been awarded several times the Oak Ridge National Labs Award for Excellence in Research and has won the prestigious Dobinsky Prize from the Society for the Study of Evolution. As a skeptic, he's published in national magazines such as Skeptic and Skeptical Inquirer. He's given lectures for many humanist and free thought groups around the country and has debated several creationists, including Dwayne Gish and Ken Hogan. He produces a monthly e-column called Rationally Speaking and has authored Tales of the Rationalist, Skeptical Essays about Nature and Science, available in the lobby. His most recent, some of his selected skeptic publications include Bioscience, Skeptical Inquirer, and one title in particular to point out, A Case Against God, Science and the Falsifiability Question in Theology. Dr. Kent Hogan is considered by many to be one of the leading authorities on science and the Bible, and is dedicated to the proclamation of factual scientific evidence that supports the biblical record of creation. His seminars, he writes, have caused even the most devout evolutionists to sit up and take notice. He's a 15-year veteran high school science teacher, and his love for science sparked his interest in creation versus evolution. He saw the need for exposing evolution as a dangerous religious worldview and for arming Christians with scientific evidence that there are no contradictions between true science and the Bible. In response to these needs, shortly after finishing his PhD in education, he began a full-time ministry of creation science and evangelism. Since its beginning in 1989, his ministry has continued to grow, and he speaks over 700 times each year in public and private schools, churches, university debates, and on radio and television broadcasts. His humorous, fast-paced, illustrated seminars provide documented evidence against the unscientific theory of evolution. The information presented concerning dinosaurs in the Bible and the few that are still alive today reflects his study in the field of cryptozoology. His goal is to strengthen faith of believers and to confound and convict the evolutionists and to win the lost Christ. He offers $250,000 to anyone with real scientific evidence for evolution. He lives in Pensacola, Florida with his wife Jo and 2 of their 3 children. The 3rd child, Eric, also lives in Pensacola and speaks on creation. The format tonight will be fairly simple and straightforward. Each speaker will be given 30 minutes, and there will be no interruptions from audience or one speaker to the other at that time. And we've already decided who will go first. That's Dr. Pavlucci. And since it was a football day, naturally we had to flip a coin to decide who would go first. After that, we'll have a short break. We'll gather written questions. You should have received some pieces of paper as you wandered in. You'll find some folks posted in each aisle during the break, so be sure they get the questions. They'll deliver them to me, and we'll start sorting them at that time. Then, when we regather, 2 15-minute rebuttals from each side, and then the series of questions and answers. During the Q&A, each person, the person to whom the question is directed will be given 2 minutes to respond to the question. The other person will be given 1 minute for rebuttal. Okay, Dr. Pavlucci.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Thanks, everyone, for coming here. Let me tell you a couple things about what I would like to do tonight. One thing that I'm not interested in doing is in convincing anybody that there is no God. This is not that kind of debate. We're talking about science tonight. The other thing that I would like to do, on the other hand, is to tell you what evolution actually is about, because there's a lot of misconception on this particular topic. And so during my opening statement, essentially I'll give a very brief evolution 101 so that we're clear on what we're talking about. Of course, there's not enough time to give you a full course in evolutionary biology, so I have to leave out a lot of stuff. And I will focus on 2 or 3 major examples to give you a flavor of what evolutionary biologists actually do and what they're talking about. And into the follow part, I will address my opponent specific points when they come up. Incidentally, given that Mr. Hammond here has debated hundreds of times, apparently, if there is anybody here that has a habit of cheering for the underdog, that would be me. Okay, so what is evolution is and is not? Let me give you a roadmap of what I'm going to be telling you in the next few minutes. That is useful, I think, to understand the evolution-creation debate. First of all, evolution is defined in a couple of different ways, and it's not defined the way creation is defined. The way a professional biologist defines evolution is either one of these 2. One, it's a change in gene frequencies. So a change in the frequencies of the genetic constitution of an organism constitutes evolution. It's the simplest definition of evolution. Or the more complicated definition of evolution, and actually the one that Darwin gave originally, is the central modification. That is, evolution is about change in organisms that are related to each other to some extent. Contrary to what most creationists think, evolution is not, it's got anything to do with the origin of life, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. And evolution also has got nothing to do with the origin of the universe. Those are 2 distinct scientific, these are scientific questions. I'm not denying that they are scientific questions, they're just not evolutionary questions. And also, one of the tenets of evolutionary biology is that the explanation of for the diversity of life on Earth, which is what we're interested in here tonight, does not require intelligent design. That does not mean that there is no God, which is why I said a minute ago that I'm not going to convince anybody about the existence or inexistence of God. I'm just saying that a natural explanation of diversity of life is possible, and which is what science is about. So let's start on the first count, which is evolution as a change in gene frequencies. That molecule over there is a sample of DNA, which is what your genes and everybody else's genes are made of. The evidence and the theory for the fact that evolution does occur in the sense that genes do change in frequency in natural populations the theory comes from population genetics, which is a highly mathematical branch of evolutionary biology. It has been, people have been publishing in that area for the last about 100 years or so. The empirical evidence comes from molecular biology, especially modern molecular biology, provides you evidence of changes in gene frequencies in populations under your very nose that happen as we speak. Examples are innumerable, and they cover every known kind of organism. There are studies in both theoretical population genetics and empirical molecular biology on viruses, bacteria, plants, fungi, animals, including mammals, primates, and humans themselves. One of the branches of molecular evolutionary biology deals with the evolution of man, or humans. Now let's get into an example, a specific example. As I said, I cannot give too much information into a 30-minute format, and I wouldn't want to otherwise, but let's get into a couple of specific examples so you get a flavor of what evolutionary biologists actually do. And I hope you'll get the idea that evolutionary biologists don't go out there trying to convince people that there's no God. What we do is this. One of the things that we study is, for example, the evolution of the HIV virus. Now, you all know that the HIV virus causes disease of the immune system. It is very common among vertebrates. In fact, it's found among dolphins as well. Something like the HIV virus is found among dolphins, which is why there's that pretty picture of dolphin out there. There are 2 major kinds of human HIV virus, and one of them, so-called they're called HIV-1 and HIV-2. I guess the person who discovered them wasn't too much into imaginative names. But HIV-1 evolved from chimp virus and attacked human populations in the 1940s. You can study that both from molecular biology and from epidemiological studies. And then it spread to Europe in the 1970s. We actually know the person who brought it to Europe. It was a Swedish or a Norwegian settler who had been working in Africa for the previous decade or so. He went back there.